Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today we have an open box video for you with some big hitters actually, some pretty cool coins, all from PCGS. This submission on their standard service, only took 3.5 months, so that felt really fast compared to where we've been. This Spanish trail amongst the all-time leading favorites for commem collectors, amongst the hardest coins to get. Huge open surfaces. I love the design. Always love the design on this guy. And these huge open surfaces, also the way they polished them, left a bazillion die marks here. You've got look at all those raised die lines all over these coins. Just lovely, lovely, lovely. This one, unfortunately, PCGS calls Unk Details cleaned, and I hate to start off with such disappointment and also disagreement. And later I'll show you something different where we can look and talk a little about. I know some of you think I always disagree with PCGS or NGC, and some of you think I never do. But you see all these lines that run across this coin. These lines are raised lines. They are die lines. They are not cleaning lines on those. So we shall see what we shall see. But I'm very disappointed in that coin, especially since that is actually for a customer. And it's tricky here on a lot of these coins, and I've talked about this before. Some of us want cleaning to be, kind of an obvious thing, and sometimes it can be very subtle. Sometimes, because there's different types of cleaning, it's hard to detect. And sometimes with coins made at different eras, there are things that look like cleaning that are not. Now what you're seeing here is, you see all of a sudden as I get this angle, boom, all those lines pop up on this coin. And these are really intriguing as well, because early gold from the 1830s and 40s sometimes have those lines as diagnostics. Now this coin also AU details with the cleaning moniker right there for us to look at. So this coin, actually, I would tell you, it's hard for me to disagree with overall the cleaning commentary, because as you look, especially kind of at this angle, you start to see those hairlines popping up on the cheek a little bit, and those are hairlines on there. They are not die polish lines. And here's the thing that's tricky though, because there is still an amount of judgment called to be made when it comes to some of these things. I like to see things that are really, I don't want to say obvious, but like over here we have some more cleaning lines coming off of in between these three stars. And I'm like, okay, well, that you can call cleaning. Over here you can see it a little bit. But the thing that you need to realize is that if this coin was kept in someone's pocket, what is it doing? It is rubbing back and forth inside of their pocket or their purse, which is what is cleaning. Someone taking a cloth and wiping a coin down. So that's the only reason I'm mentioning this. This to distinguish between. The reason I say sometimes it's hard to tell the difference is because coins naturally can have a look that we would quote unquote call cleaning. Okay, and so I just want to, especially on gold coins. So that previous coin there is hard to put a price on, because a nice AU is a couple grand, and it has the cleaning to it. And we're going to keep showing coins as I talk here and move on to this 1857 San Francisco piece, $50. Super crazy rare, by the way. So they only made 158,000 of them, and it's really, really a tough coin. And you don't realize until you get into the nitty gritty. There's a lot of different dates in this series that are super tough to come by. And here, just want to look at the fact that it's got no real mint luster, but a ton of detail left on the coin. And I always, if you want to think of things from like the 30,000 foot view, you get most of the detail still there, but none of the luster. You're going to talk about a coin that's going to be a nice VF. and that is a good way to look at this coin, a VF30. Uh, Probably a $800, $900 coin. Tough coin. Kind of sneaky tough, right? Because if you just saw that coin and you didn't know the dates, you wouldn't necessarily know. But there's only a handful of coins with lower mintages than that. Now I want to get back to my previous conversation with you, if you remember back minutes ago, to coins that are cleaned or not cleaned and how it's a judgment call. All right, now if you look at all of the hairlines on the surface of this coin, all right, and you look at it, now one of the things is I actually thought this coin was a circulated proof. You know, by diagnostics probably not, but it just has a little bit of a proof-like feel to it. But it's got a lot of those little hairlines. But once again, those hairlines are mostly from pocket wear, right? AU55, nice coin on this trade dollar. And let's take a little bit of a closer look here. And so, to me, it's always a judgment call when you see stuff like that, as far as whether or not you want to call a coin original or clean. I always try to think of intent a little bit when you look at that. Like, to me, a coin that's been cleaned, somebody was doing something intentional, right? They were trying to get dirt off of it. And, you know, to be honest with you, between these two coins, if you wanted me to call one of them a straight grade and one of them cleaned, you know, I would call this 5 probably not cleaned between the two, right? But as I say, it's really good that I had both these coins in the same submission, so that I can show you coins that have that look to them like they've been cleaned, but it's been straight graded, because that happens pretty frequently, in my opinion. You know, you see things that could go either way that are kind of a judgment call. All right, speaking of judgment calls, that's all that grading is, right? So this 1935 peace dollar, which I think I was madly in love with when I sent it in. It is not coming across quite as much on video, but this left side of the field especially just has this really cool look to it. I like that little bit of rusted patina. It looks like flower petals coming all the way around. You know, a nice coin. It does have a little bit of chatter here on the cheek and neckline, but overall, I kind of thought this would come back a pretty nice grade. And when I say pretty nice grade, I thought it would come back a 4. Came back a 3, and so that's a little bit lower than I wanted it to or thought it would. Getting back here, I know some of you want to know the price points on some of these. You know, this trade dollar is probably a 550 to 650 type coin. This coin's probably only 250 or less. You know, and I thought it would be, you know, tack on $100 or something, or maybe more on that coin. Now, surprisingly, most of these coins actually came back kind of how I thought they would. You know, there's always a little variation. When you send in a bunch of coins, you're going to get a pretty wide variation. This 1909S does have the magical, mystical VDB, Victor David Brenner, right there. By the way, a decent amount of detail on this coin, and of course you'll notice there that raised area between the C and the E, and then you've got this ding here on this side. So this coin, damaged VF details. So probably still that $500 type range. You know, a VF I think is, you know, a few $100s more in this current market. So, but this would be a nice coin to kind of fill a spot for somebody who doesn't want to spend all of the money on their SVDB. All right, this one was a little bit trickier, and you know, once again, if we can remember way back to a couple minutes ago, talking about grading coins in that 57 S half dollar, you know, you're going to look at coins now. The halves and the dollars, you know, they're sizably different. They wear different. Their design's not identical. They have a different look and feel to them. And this coin looked and felt to me like an extra fine. VF35, which is one tick away from getting that XF40, and really a nice coin. You know, so I had to look at it close, and I kind of had to talk myself into their grade, which sounds kind of silly. But, you know, there's so much that goes into strike and whatnot, but here we can start to see, you know, wear down on the shield and the Liberty. You know, there's a ton of detail here throughout the body, a lot of flatness in the head, some of that's from strike. Really cool original little bits of toning to it. And, of course, the reverse had, I thought, a very heavy amount of detail left. for the coin. So, but having said that, you know, I'm looking at the fields and the luster is pretty near zero. So that's a judgment call, and you usually don't see a coin with that much detail get called a VF. But you know, I was only looking for an XF40, so that luster's not quite there, and so I'm not gonna lose sleep on that guy. Another coin that's in that $500 or $600 range. So sometimes when you look at a coin, this one's pretty interesting because you know, the first glance at this coin is really pretty cool. 1894 is one of the rarest dates for Morgan dollars, one of the single lowest mintages. Lots of times you have to be careful that they didn't take a different coin and rub off the mint mark, you know, but of course on a higher grade coin it's really unlikely to have that happen, but you'll see it on lower grade coins. But a higher grade coin, because a high grade 94O or a high grade 94S is going to be something that someone's probably not going to want to try to modify into a 94 plain. But this coin, which I thought was really, really nice, actually came back tooled. Now, tooling is a very specific. Usually you're talking about moving metal around when you talk about tooling. You're not just talking about cleaning, you're talking about moving metal. And so this one was really tricky. I'm like, okay, they said tooled, which means they really saw something. And where I want you to focus your eye on now is dead center the earlobe and in front of the earlobe onto the cheek. Okay, now the rest of the luster is moving very normally and naturally. Now let's take a look at this. Right in here, there's like a change in color right in that whole center area. Can't really tell at that angle so much. You almost have to look on it from a distance because of the way the camera will shift colors. But here, that is actually metal that's been moved. You can see that bright spot that pops up just a little bit in front of the ear and the hairline. It keeps popping back and forth, looks like Rhode Island. That whole area there, and at this angle, it's also hard to tell that those are really fine lines. That is what they're talking about, right there in the middle. Oh yeah, that's right. I don't need to use my gross finger. I can use this. This whole area here, you see how different the color is? You see how it moves around right there? It doesn't look like any of the color in this metal. It looks different right here. That's what they're looking at. And so I think maybe what was there could have been like a scratch or something that somebody tried to get rid of. Like almost if you think of taking a Dremel and really just kind of grinding something down softly. Grinding softly. There we go. It sounds like my newest slow jam hit. All right, so here we go, 1894. Oh man, we're right back into the 90s. Hard to say what that 94 Philly is going to trade at. $1,000 coin maybe. Next up is a 94S that's actually really comparable to that 94 Philly. Nice original luster to it. Kind of hard to find sometimes original. The coins in the 90s are really interesting. These 1892, 3, 4, and 5. They're just, even the 96 a little bit, they're just kind of hard to find nice original examples on these coins. This guy came back AU55, and that's probably a what, like a $700, $800, $900 coin, $600, $700 coin. Tough coin to find in that kind of a grade. Next up, we're speaking of the 90s, 1895. Come on, no mint mark, no mint mark. Dang it. All right, so kind of a tricky coin here. Now remember what we were talking about before with both the 57S and the 60O that we already looked at, right? Coin that if you look at it has a lot of detail to it, but no luster. A lot of detail, little to no luster, right? Same concept. Oh, I can see all the hairline. Look, I can see the poppy. I can see the wings. I can see some neck feathers and breast feathers and all that stuff. VF25. Okay, so that's just kind of something for you to keep in the back of your mind when you're grading any type of coin. Those middle grades, those VFs, really come that way with a lot of detail, no luster. All right, 95S in that grade, probably an $800 or $900 coin. This pile is getting too high to work with, people. I've only got a few more left. and 1880 Carson City. You almost knew what the coin was. I said it before, I should have, but you know, certain coins actually have a very distinctive look to them, the way that they're struck. I'm really intrigued by these guys. This has the smaller KK right there, your CCs, and really great luster though. I like the originality of the coin. MS64, you know, it has a lot of little contact marks to it, but it also has just kind of an original brilliance to it at the same time. And so, nice looking coin overall. Really has some interesting contrast to it because some of those darker points on the coin, you know, just kind of makes me think it was kept in a, what would you say, inside of like a paper flip for a long time. All right, next up we've got this 1885. Also Carson City with the bigger CC on that. There's the bigger CC. And overall, a pleasing coin. Now this is one that is kind of interesting because I kind of thought this coin was pretty nice and original. And remember, previously I kind of had to talk myself into some of their grading on the other ones. So this one they call Unk Detail Cleaned, and I don't think I'm going to talk myself into that grade. This one's a little harder for me because it doesn't have the cleaning lines to it. I looked at it pretty close after it came back in. You know, what's interesting about this coin is that actually it has a little bit of some residue on it, right? You can see it at that angle, kind of that green that pops up. The coin actually needs some conservation. And so in my mind, I look and I say, oh, it hasn't been cleaned and it needs to be quote unquote cleaned. It needs to be conserved. The 80cc, by the way, is probably about $800. I don't know what I'm going to do with this coin because I might send it in for conservation. Last but not least, I've got two pretty brilliant looking $2.50 gold pieces. You know, these guys are always super tricky to grade. Oftentimes I tell people, hey, the basics are you look for a really large amount of luster on these guys in the field, and that's kind of how you make hay. You know, you got to look at it and say, does this have a lot of that nice glimmer, that nice sparkle in it, the way that these guys do? And that's kind of what you look at to try to get a coin that's going to be uncirculated. Once again, tough coin to figure out on these Unk Detail Cleaned kind of coin. Here we go again. You know, these are really tough because the way that they circulated. So you can make an argument, well, if I see hairlines, like there's hairlines that pop up at this angle, you can see it goes across from the top star, straight across over the nose, right? So what's your argument then? Does this become an AU58? Does it become a clean coin? Does it look every bit as nice as a lot of coins you've seen certified? You know, you've got to be able to look at the coin yourself and just kind of decide what you think on that coin. So nice looking coin, didn't hit the grade, didn't make the grade. We're going to compare that to this 1913, which looked almost the same, right? You have these really nice fields to it, real sparkly, real glittery. And then especially sometimes, you know, you really got to look at these back at an angle to see kind of how the glitter is on these. They called this an MS62. Once again, in the world of coins that are not certified, which do you take? And you know, just at a glance, I'm taking the coin on the right. But you know, when you get real detailed and you look at them, you got to say, you know, is there problems? Are there problems? What are you going to be able to do to compare those things and find how you like a coin better than the other? I really like actually the luster and originality still of this 29 on the right, a little bit better than the 13 on the left, especially on the reverse of the coin. So, but c'est la vie, mates. You know how it goes when you send coins in to get certified. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.